It's just be calm, be yourself, and people might not like you.
That way, yeah, that way.
Hey guys, good afternoon. My name is Ashley and I am here to tell you about the second part of my little mini-series, if you will, on the movie The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, kind of what inspired it as far as Leatherface and the family. And then I do have one more video coming later, and that video is going to be on some of the things I've learned about the movie and creating it and so on and so forth that are truly very interesting. At least I think it's interesting. I'm kind of obsessed right now. I'm kind of obsessed. And the more I learn, the more I'm like, oh, that is, no. A couple things I want to talk about before I start into my story today is, first off, please be kind in the comments. I would love to hear back and have your feedback. Another thing is, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, I would greatly appreciate you doing so. Also, please like the video and comment. All these things help me, and I am new to this, and I am trying to grow my channel, and it would really mean a lot to me. I have just gathered this information on my own, at my home, at my computer, on YouTube, on Google. So please know this is just my own research. You're welcome to do your own. If something doesn't match up with whatever you know, I'm sorry. I'm just doing my best for fun. And there's that. Also, we're all different people with different opinions for different reasons. And I respect you, so respect me and respect the people next to you and everywhere else, because it means a lot and you have no idea. It means a lot. Another little thing I wanted to mention that I am very excited about is on the Instagram for Halloween Horror Nights, Universal Studios Orlando. They have recently announced that they're going to have a Michael Myers haunted house, or the theme of one of their 10 haunted houses. That will be one of them. And I'm going this year, and I'm so excited. I did do a video on HHN, and I'm kind of hoping to encourage other people to go, or at least give them the gist of what it's about, because I'm telling you, if you like scary stuff, if you like haunted houses, if you like being scared, which clearly that's something I, for some strange reason, enjoy, go to Halloween Horror Nights. If you need help, comment below or message me or something. I am more than happy to help you. I would love to help get you there, or give you advice on the best ways to go or the cheapest ways to go that I personally know how. I don't work for Universal, but I would love to help you. So just ask me. With all of that said, and by the way, I'm still like living strong through this Texas Chainsaw Massacre cup that I absolutely think is so cool. Have to watch. I feel like it would be easier to talk if I wasn't talking to myself, but I have a screen set up in case like a hair flies away or something. I feel like it's hard because I just keep looking at myself and I'm like, this don't look right. Let's start into another part of where Tobe Hooper got his inspiration for Leatherface, and even more so the family, for the movie The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And by the way, I have done so much research and so much diving into just the production of this movie and how it was written. And I started last week, but even more so this week. And I am so obsessed now. And I already liked the movie, but just knowing these things about it. And my third video, so this is the second of 3, the third video will focus more on just kind of creating the movie and things like that. Just little facts about it that is incredibly intriguing. Last week we talked about Ed Gein, and honestly, I started calling him Eddie. That is so, oh, and by the way, I will completely, his mom is not Augustus, it's Augusta. And I said that wrong, and I was just like, I can't undo it. I could have, but I'm like, I can't undo that. So I'm owning it. I'm owning my mistake. I can't undo it. It's Augusta though, guys. Ed Gein. So Ed Gein was one half, not really even one half. I'd say he was definitely a big part of what made Leatherface who he was. One of Hollywood's biggest monsters. We all know Leatherface, and if you don't know Leatherface, it's probably because you don't like any sort of scary movie, because if you like a scary movie, you know who Leatherface is. Ed Gein isn't the only thing though that played into the inspiration for Leatherface. There is another part to that story, and kind of what inspired Tobe Hooper to create the movie the way he did. Now, today isn't mostly based on Leatherface and what he does. It's kind of based on Leatherface and his family. The guy we're going to talk about today is Elmer Wayne Henley. The activities he's going to partake in happened in the 1970s. I feel like I need to backtrack because you're not going to be able to understand Wayne's, so I'm going to call him Wayne because he went by his middle name. We're going to call him Wayne. So that's what he went by. Wayne, I truly believe, and he said this in interviews, and I've watched a ton of interviews this week, and I'm not saying, first off, I'm not making any excuses for what he did, and you'll find out. But he has said, if it wasn't for Dean, and we're going to talk about Dean, but if it wasn't for Dean, I wouldn't be here. Here is prison. Just FYI. Let's backtrack and talk a little bit about Dean then. Dean Coral was a Christmas baby. Aww. When you know the story. He was born December 24th, 1939. He grew up with a mother who married a salesman, and it was his stepfather, the salesman was. But the salesman started helping a friend who made candy, and his mother decided that there was like a shortage of workers to do this, to make this candy. And his mother, Dean's mother, decided she would start creating this candy or kind of lend her own talents in cooking and help create this candy. His stepfather's friend started doing so well, so she started making these pecan candies, and he started doing so well that her husband, Dean's stepfather, he also started selling this candy, and they started doing really financially well. Well, the business, they ended up moving to Houston, Texas from Indiana. With time, his mother and his stepfather did separate, and his mother started running her own candy company. Dean had a younger brother named Stanley, and Dean's mother decided that Dean and his brother should help run this candy company. So helping run the candy company wasn't all that Dean did. He also did he was an electrician on the side. He also was in the military for a brief while. But something about Dean that his family did not know, and he was actually very afraid to tell his mother, but Dean was actually gay. And he didn't feel like his mother would accept him, so he felt like he needed to keep this hidden. Well, for a long time, Dean was just this nice guy, and even he had a girlfriend, and he would use the girlfriend as kind of like his cover. I don't think she knew that she was the cover, but she was a cover. For a long time, he had this girlfriend. Well, Dean went off to the military and was serving, and she ended up meeting someone new, and that didn't work out, but he did have his cover, and his mother never suspected him of anything. So when Dean came back from serving in the military, Dean was known around town in Houston, Texas for giving out candies to all the kids. A lot of people liked him. A lot of people trusted him around their children. He was just, as far as they could tell, a genuinely nice guy. He was just giving out candy. Red flag. That's now a red flag, guys. We don't take candy from strangers. Maybe that's where the expression came from. I don't know. With time and all the kids hanging around Dean, he ended up befriending a guy named David Brooks. Now, David Brooks, when I say a guy, he was a kid. He wasn't quite a teenager. He was a preteen. And David once said, I really liked that a guy who was successful, his family had a successful business, seemed to really pay attention to me. And David had said, I had these thick glasses, and I never really fit in with a lot of people, or at least he didn't feel that way. Dean was really just kind to him. So they kind of had this odd friendship, despite the age difference, they were hanging out and friends. Well, one day, Dean decides he is going to tell David Brooks, which we're going to call him Brooks. He's going to tell Brooks, because that's what people call him. He's going to tell Brooks, hey Brooks, I have a job for you. And basically what he wanted was for Brooks to bring him another young man. He told him they were going to sell them into trafficking. Brooks started bringing him guys in. He'd get money every time he did this. So this went on for several years. Now Dean wasn't actually taking these preteens and selling them into trafficking, which first off, that's a whole nother terrible thing. That is just a soft spot for me in general. And eventually Brooks did discover that he was doing this, but Brooks still went along with it. He was still bringing young men from their neighborhood, no less. All over this neighborhood, these kids were disappearing. All over. So you don't know who this is, but you know they're close. What Dean and Brooks would do is they would bring young boys back to Dean's house with the promise of alcohol or I don't know what words. Marijuana. They would lure them back with the promise of a good time, okay, a party. Then while there, they would tell these boys that, hey, I got a party trick to show you. This so reminds me of John Wayne Gacy, by the way, so much. And on so many levels, but that's besides the point. They would tell these boys, I got a party trick for you. Dean had this large piece of plywood in his bedroom with handcuffs attached to it. And he would tell the boys, I'm gonna like handcuff you and then teach you this party trick where you get out of them. And then if more people come over or whenever, you can show people this trick. Well, these boys would, yeah, I'd be like, that's cool, show me. Oh, I'm gonna show my kids. Oh. So Dean would get these boys handcuffed where they could not get away from him, and then he would have his way with them. Okay? And when he was done, because he couldn't let his evidence walk away, right? He would either strangle them, or I whisper because I feel like I need to, I don't know. He would either strangle them or fire a rifle at them, and then he would dispose of the bodies with, he had a box, and he would take this box out and put their body in the box, use it to transport, and bury the bodies. And Brooks would help him. In 1971, after bringing so many children to him, Brooks decides to bring Elmer Wayne, again Wayne, Henley to his house. And Henley's going to be another victim. However, Henley has a lot of charisma, a lot of charm, and immediately Dean saw this. Now, a little more about Wayne before we move on to he and Dean's friendship, if you want to call it that. Wayne seemed to be a sweet kid, and he was the oldest of 4 boys. His father was an alcoholic but left when he was younger, and his mother raised him and the boys on her own. When he got a little older, he ended up dropping out of school. He would help his mother make ends meet, trying to help her pay the bills, trying to be, trying to be a good kid. Another thing to mention about him is when these boys in this neighborhood did go missing, Wayne was actually out there looking, checking in with the boys' mothers, like, have you found him? Have you heard anything? He was actively participating in these searches. So back to where we were when Dean and Wayne decided to be friends. Brooks brings Wayne over to the house so Dean can make him his next victim. Wayne's just got a lot of charisma about him, and instead of making him a victim, Dean actually decides just to hang out with him, to be friends with him. And after a couple times of hanging out with him, Dean decides to tell Wayne, hey, yeah, I know you're working, I know you're trying to make some money, so I got an idea. Why don't you work for me? Now, Wayne is told by Dean that these boys are actually just going to be sold into trafficking. Now, again, not that that makes it okay. This is the same way they got Brooks in on this deal, but that's what he thinks. And so he decides, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. Dean's like, I'll give you $200 like a kid. You understand? Like, and I'm sorry. I know that's nothing today. I don't know how much that was in the early 70s though. Maybe that was quite a bit. Someone tell me? Could someone tell me? Was $200 a lot? And I know Wayne's family was struggling to make ends meet, so maybe, I don't know. But Wayne still initially said no. But several months went by, and Wayne kept thinking on it. And the more he thought on it, he finally decided, I really need a way to help take care of my family. I'm trying to help my mother, and so I'm gonna jump in on this deal. With time, Wayne has brought up to 10 different kids to Dean's house. And initially, with the first couple boys, Wayne did not realize. Wayne thought they would go and be sold, and that wouldn't be great, but they'd still be alive. But at some point, Wayne actually walks in on Dean doing what he's doing and loses. And he's just like, no, what are you doing? But Dean's like, no, you're going to be okay with this. And not only that, but you're going to start helping me with this. This being getting rid of the bodies when he's done with them. Wayne does this with him and ends up bringing around 10 boys to Dean himself. On top of that, he also did assist in the murder of at least 6 of the boys. So on August 7th, 1973, Wayne comes over with another victim, but he also brings a female with him. This girl, her name was Rhonda. Dean pulls Wayne aside and he's like, you have ruined everything by bringing a girl here. She is not wanted here. Now that aside, he keeps his cool in front of the other two, which would be Rhonda and the boy that's supposed to be the victim. Dean goes ahead and parties with these 3 kids, Wayne being one of them, and gives them some stuff, gives them some substance, and the kids pass out. And while they're passed out, Dean decides he's going to go ahead, because he's so upset with Wayne, he's going to bound and gag Wayne along with the other 2, and he does. Dean takes Wayne, his buddy, quote unquote buddy, and he's taking him to this plywood with the handcuffs that Wayne has so many times seen him hook up other people to. And he's kind of coming to as he's doing this and kind of starting to wake up out of this haze. Wayne starts pleading with Dean, like, please don't do this. Please don't do this to me. Like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And he says, please, like, I brought you, get the other guy. So Dean decides, okay, you know what we'll do? You can have the girl. I'll have the guy. Let's handcuff them. And we're going to do this together this time. He gives Wayne a knife and wants Wayne to cut the clothes off of Rhonda. And Dean's going to start in on the boy that's there. As Dean's starting in and Wayne is beginning to cut the clothes off of Rhonda, she asks him, like, is this really happening? Like, is this really happening? And Wayne says yes, but he does happen to notice that Dean, who has a rifle with him often, has set this rifle down to the side. Wayne grabs the rifle and he says, we have gone too far. And Dean turns to Wayne and he says, you won't do it. You won't do it. And with that, Wayne ends up firing. In the first round, he hits Dean in the forehead. Dean turns around and Wayne shoots twice more, knocking down and killing Wayne. So Wayne calls 911 and admits to shooting Dean. Cops show up and then Wayne decides, you know, I'm just going to tell everything. I want it all out. And he ends up leading investigators to the bodies that he helped dispose of. Wayne also explains that Brooks was in on this and Brooks had been doing it for longer than he had. And Brooks also ends up confessing to everything he is aware of. Now with Dean gone and the boys having confessed to everything that they were able to tell, it has put to rest so many different stories of missing boys. But they did not find Wayne guilty of killing Dean Coral because they called it self-defense. And I really thought that was, in a sense, justice in that aspect. However, I also think this is justice. Wayne is serving 6 consecutive life sentences for assisting in the murder of these young men. As of right now, Elmer Wayne Henley is still sitting in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. He's 66 years old. And like I said, if you watch an interview, and I want to believe him, don't be mad at me, but I just feel like if it wasn't for Dean and Wayne's vulnerability, he never would have been involved with this. Now, would he have done something else crazy and different or wonderful? I don't know. But I do know that I mean, how do I put this? He did what he did. He needs to serve his time. I'll just put it that way. But I do feel a little bad for him too, you know. But this is what I tell my kids. You want to see who you are, you look at your friends. It's true. It's so true. So how does this all play into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Tobe Hooper's hype of it? If you watch the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you will see that there is the family. Now, the family in the movie kind of brings the victims to Leatherface, and honestly, now I could get into a whole different, like, who is Leatherface? Who is he as a person? But he seems to be someone who needs protection, almost like a lion that's kept in a den and then they feed it, okay? and that's really, for lack of better words, I'm kind of off the top of my head talking right now, but Leatherface is here and his family brings him victims. So when Toby Hooper and all this news coverage, because this was a huge story with Wayne and Dean Corll, when all this news coverage was going on, he got the inspiration for the family and Leatherface's family, and thinking, you know, it wasn't just him, the killer, he had these people bringing victims to him. The connection is really, really interesting, and I don't know if the Candyman being Dean Corll and Wayne Henley being his helper along with David Brooks is the sole reason that the family was born for the movie The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I definitely can see the connection, and I thought it was very, very interesting to know that Ed Gein, who I always thought was Leatherface and that was it, and when it says it's based on a true story, which we're going to get into that next time, but what I'm saying is it didn't really hit me that, hey, maybe more than one thing inspired this movie and these true events. There is one more video that I'm going to do in this little 3-part thing, and I am so excited for that one because it's just the weird things and the interesting things that went into making the movie, and some of the where is it now, where are they now, so on and so forth. Thank you guys so much for spending a little more time with me this week, and I really appreciate you. It is so hot here, so go jump in the pool or drink a lot of water or just crank up your AC, whatever you need to do. Last but not least, please like, subscribe, and give me some feedback. Would be super kind with it because I'm a sensitive girl. God bless. Have the best week.